We treat ourselves the way we were treated. We talk to ourselves the way we were talked to. I don't know. Hello and thank you for joining. This video is a big one because it was a big pivot in my life. Realizing how I was treating myself, how I was talking to myself, the reasons behind it really shifted my entire relationship with myself. So I really wanted to share this information with you because I really want you to realize why you don't respect yourself and how to stop doing that. So the first thing I want to tell you is that we treat ourselves the way we were treated. We talk to ourselves the way we were talked to. I don't know if it really hits, but I never realized that personally because we don't put forward enough the concept of relationship with ourselves. We talk about how you treat other people, how to treat other people, be more self-aware of how you talk to people, but we don't talk enough about nurturing the relationship with ourselves because it's a bit schizophrenic, and I feel like people don't really realize that there really actually is a relationship going on between us and us. Most of us growing up not even being aware that we were an actual person, so let alone nurturing a relationship with ourselves. And this relationship is so important. Not being aware of it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It is there, it exists. And when I realized that, I realized how many years I had been treating myself like, and I started to become self-aware of how I was talking to myself and how I was behaving with me, with my needs, my dreams, my feelings. So we treat ourselves the way we were treated. I personally modeled a mother that had no consideration for her own needs because her own mother never considered her own need, and so on. And generational trauma, we know the story. Coming back to my relationship with her, my personal needs were never taken seriously. It was always something funny. Oh, okay. Queen of England, okay. You don't have needs, what are you talking about? It was always shattered and really stepped on, like not taken seriously at all. I remember asking for a key for my bedroom because I needed privacy. As a teenager, I really started to want to have more privacy, and I was completely laughed at. It was the joke of the year. That was ridiculous. Now I realize how it impacted me because up until a few years, I never took myself seriously. I was always making fun of me. I was always making fun of what mattered to me. I was always talking about things that I truly wanted, in a humorous way. And so because every time I was asking for something related to my emotions, my feelings, I was constantly made fun of. I associated vulnerability with ridicule. Not even weak, just ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Vulnerability is ridiculous. It's funny. Ha ha ha. But more importantly, I really neglected my own feelings for years. Not even because I was being sadistic with myself, just because I was subconsciously repeating a pattern that I saw. And so until we are aware of this pattern, we can't break it because we don't realize we are talking to ourselves a certain way. There are voices in our minds telling us stuff all the time, and these voices, most of the time, they belong to our parents, to the people we grew up with. The judgment, the idea of success, of what we are supposed to do next, who we are supposed to date. All of these are voices mainly coming from our family members, earliest person we grew up with. And so I also learned a wrong idea of respect. We tend to associate respect with don't insult other people. Respect is being polite, is being nice. That's being respectful. No, respect has nothing to do with this. Respect is about respecting people's need, and in people there is you as well. A respectful person is first someone who respects themselves, and it means their needs and other people's needs. I wasn't even aware I had needs, so I wasn't respecting myself. I was constantly stepping on my basic needs because I didn't know they existed. I didn't know who I was. And so the first thing we need to do is to start exploring ourselves and allow ourselves to show us who we are. And this can be uncomfortable and a bit scary because we've been conditioned of tons of things, including being judgmental. That's a big thing. Respecting yourself means allowing you to tell you who they are, and you're supposed to say okay and validate it. So I'm aware this is a bit of a schizophrenic situation here, but when I started my self-love journey, I seriously started to discover myself. And sometimes you discover stuff about yourself you feel scared about. You think, no, I'm not like that. No, I'm not like that. that, it's not me. I was so disconnected to myself that I couldn't understand certain things that I was discovering about me, that who I thought that I was and who I really am was so different, two different worlds. And so reconnecting with myself was very hard for me because I was rejecting myself. I had been rejecting myself for years. I started to do that extremely early in my life. So reconnecting with myself meant accepting everything that I'm going to confess to myself, everything that I'm opening up about. I'm gonna have to say, okay, this is me. And sometimes I was really like, okay, this is me. I like that. That can be very confusing, but this is the way to self-love and respecting yourself, is understanding your needs and not being judgmental of them. I was being very judgmental of me for feeling a certain way, just feeling a certain way, because unconsciously I was just copycatting the behavior I saw growing up, because this is how I was treated. Every time I was being vulnerable or I was trying to open up, I was made fun of. So when I was feeling negative feeling, sadness, anger, disappointment, I was beating myself down. I was being judgmental of me, and I was literally repressing those feelings. Like, no, don't feel that way, it's ridiculous. I was talking like that to me. And so the first step is to really acknowledge that you have needs and really allow yourself disclose these needs to you and receive them with an open heart and not be judgmental of yourself, and then validate them. The other very powerful thing that we need to do is to decondition ourselves from the behavior we saw growing up, mainly from our parents, and undo the association between this behavior that we saw and the actual right way to be. There is no right way to be, and it's yours to decide. So you need to start becoming your own person and build your own belief system and core values that belong to you and no one else. So you need to decondition from the behavior that you modeled growing up. The more you do that, the more you're gonna start realizing that there are things that you were doing, you don't know why you were doing them, you don't know why you were studying this, you don't know why you're working in this field anymore, because you're realizing maybe you were doing this to fit in another person's idea of success. You're gonna start realizing things about you, about who you are, and you're gonna start feeling a bit depressed about having to do certain things. Like, I really don't like it. I don't know why I'm doing this, because I don't like it. I am not vibing with this. And so you're gonna start realizing that you were not prioritizing your own needs, not only other people's needs, your parents' needs. Why? Because this is what you saw growing up. And so we treat ourselves the way we were treated, and we talk to ourselves the way we were talked to, but also we tend to model and copycat the behavior our parents had with themselves. And so personally, I modeled a mother that was constantly abandoning herself, constantly putting other people before her, and never giving herself space. She had no boundaries, couldn't say no, and really beat herself up every time she was disappointed at herself. That's what I saw, that's what I modeled. A good way to get out of this pattern is to first become self-aware of your own behavior with yourself, and to start realizing that we are a person and we actually have a relationship with ourselves. And so when we are feeling angry, when we are feeling disappointed, how are we addressing it? How are we talking to ourselves? When you know you were supposed to do something and you failed, how do you talk to yourself? Subconsciously, you're gonna have the reaction your parents would have with you. And so if it was brutal, aggressive, you're gonna talk to yourself like that as well. So you have to become self-aware of that and change the way you speak to yourself. You don't have to treat yourself the way your parents treated you, and you don't have to treat yourself the way your parents treated themselves. You can experience a lot of resistance from your mind, because this is a very strong pattern that was implemented in our childhood, and changing can be uncomfortable and scary and really hard. A good way to do this is affirmations. For example, I love discovering new things about me. I love getting to know myself more and more. And I love everything that I discover about me. I love myself unconditionally no matter what. I love treating myself with kindness and patience. I know that in order to bloom and become blissful, I have to honor my needs and my passions. I know that in order to find myself, I have to let go 100%. Everything I'm going through is for my greatest good. I know that walking into the unknown means getting closer to myself and from everything that I want in this life. These are a few affirmations that I wrote for myself, but affirmations and developing self-awareness around the way we talk to ourselves is the best way to drop certain behaviors and cut patterns. And obviously detaching. So I talk about detachment in previous videos videos, but in a nutshell, detaching or cutting cords, there are different calling to say that you really release a certain belief from your system. I will make a video when I really dedicate to explaining this, but what I do to detach, to remove a negative belief from my system, is by literally saying that I detach from this belief, and then I say that I detach from all the beliefs that don't align with this belief. So for example, you've been mistreating yourself and ignoring your own needs for years. Having affirmations is great. Becoming self-aware of how you talk to yourself is great. And you can also say, I detach from the belief that my needs don't matter. My needs matter. My needs are really important. I detach from all the beliefs that don't align with this belief. This is really a spell that is very powerful. I've been using this to release certain beliefs from my mind. Some people use mushrooms. Honestly, I would like to try, but really using this spell is very powerful to literally remove a belief from your system. You're taking this belief and you're putting it in the trash, and then you click on delete for good. So this is very powerful. But the best and most efficient way to reprogram yourself, to completely change your mindset and your beliefs, is to reconnect with your inner child. So I don't know if you're familiar with that. I don't know if you've done that before, but reconnecting with my inner child was transforming in my healing journey, because I got to enter her head by talking to her. I got transported in my childhood. I was seeing moments I completely forgot, and I really understood what kind of belief was created growing up. And so it was easier for me to really point out the ones I didn't need anymore, and really talk to my inner child directly was extremely powerful, because you really heal the problem at the source. So reconnecting with your inner child is something that I highly recommend. I will put the link to a guided meditation that I did the first time I connected with my inner child. It was very interesting. It's just to get this first contact with this part of yourself if you've never done it before. I was very, very close to myself, and so it helped me connect with her, and this first approach was very interesting. From there, I understood how to connect with myself, and I started to go back there and talk to her and spend more time to her and nurture, implement new beliefs. So I will put this link down below. It was a very good guided meditation. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and that you will be more self-aware of the way you talk to yourself, and have more discernment between what you actually want and what you don't. And follow me for more videos showing you the way through self-awareness, get out of our own maze. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.